It has been around 150 years since the last time we saw Kratos, and after traveling through the world, being constantly harassed by his past, he reached the Nordic lands. So subscribe and leave a like, cause this is... So right from the beginning we can see a senior Kratos, but let me tell you something, he ages like fine wine cause god damn. Anyway, we see him chopping down a marked tree, clearly troubled by something, and out of nowhere a little kid shows up. This kid is Atreus, more famously known as... So they take the log to a nearby boat, and they take it to their home, where we see that they are preparing a funeral for the kid's mother. Kratos takes his wife's body to the logs and they lead it as some kind of Viking funeral. The kid grabs the mother's knife from the fire and gets burned, so we can see that he ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. So Kratos decides that there's no better way to mourn their dead than go hunting, so on their way they go to hunt a deer. The kid is clearly untrained and has no discipline, so Kratos as a Spartan soldier clearly dislikes this a lot. But come on man, he's your son, it's your fault that he's a wuss. Send him to fight a wolf in the mountains or something, damn. Anyway, after shouting at Atreus, he retains his bow to teach him a lesson on patience. After that we have the first encounter with some low-level enemies, where the big change they made shines. This is no longer a hack and slash, this is an RPG, with more complex fighting system, and it's right on point. The second time they encounter the deer, Atreus manages to injure it with the help of Kratos. They follow the deer until it falls, and they have to kill it, but the kid doesn't have the guts to do it, so they do it together. Kratos has a brief moment where he wants to be a parent and comfort his son. Nah, that will be gay bro, what are you talking about? Anyway, a troll appears out of nowhere and of course we fight it.
I've been roaming around, always looking down.
And I have played enough Dark Souls in my life to know how this goes. So after sending the troll to the troll's heaven, Atreus has a breakdown with the thing. Aw, he has anger issues like his daddy. They lost the deer, so defeated they go back home. And since the body is already consumed, Kratos takes the ashes. Inside the house they discuss how Atreus is not ready for the journey they have ahead. To take the ashes to the tallest mountain. When someone calls to the door, the strange man speaks to Kratos through it and he commands Atreus to hide. Apparently the man is looking for Kratos, so he opens the door. The strange man seems to know the nature of Kratos and that he comes from a distant land. After some back and forth on the topic of what he's looking for, Kratos threatens the man. This stranger starts hopelessly hitting Kratos and he joinks the absolute crap out of him. But then... they beat the shit out of each other, clearly matching strength, and it may seem not like it, but Kratos is old and has trouble healing his wounds. But this strange god has no problem healing himself. After quite a lot of fighting, Kratos comes out victorious, but is severely injured and tired. Oh come on, he's still alive? While they struggle, the strange man reveals to Kratos that he doesn't feel anything and promises to come back again and again. Kratos farms Aura by healing himself and they keep fighting, until Kratos finally ends the job. Now extremely tired, he goes back home and decides that they can't stay in the woods. So he decides that ready or not, they have to begin the journey to take the ashes to the mountain. So on their way they go and our adventure starts with the trophy The Journey Begins. They travel through the forest and in the distance they can see that there was a protection spell around the woods, but now it is broken. While going on our way we reach the edge of the woods, where we find our first runic attack. That is a special move that we can add to our new weapon, and it grants the trophy Nice Moves. Up next we find a bridge, where the kid rushes ahead and you idiot. They both fall from the bridge and...
that wasn't so bad.
Oh come on, just smack him already. Down the pit we fight quite a lot of enemies. That, in hard difficulty as I'm playing, is legitimately one of the hardest parts of the beginning. But after quite a few tries we can advance to... oh come on, there's more? After dealing with that zone we reach a building where we are ambushed by some cannibal tribe, and after obliterating them from the earth, Atreus is forced to get his first skill, and ends up traumatized. The poor thing.
Close your heart to it.
Now, up the bridge again we meet Brock, a dwarf that is having problems moving his travel beast, and there we learned one of Atreus' abilities. He can communicate with animals. How suspicious. Turns out that there were some enemies in the woods and the beast was scared. Anyway, after helping Brock, the dwarf recognizes Kratos' hacks. Important piece of information for the correct understanding of the story. Since Kratos is constantly trying to escape his past, he does not have the Blaze of Chaos anymore. So Kratos' new weapon is a magical axe that was given to him by his wife before she died. So, Brock recognizes the weapon and tells tells Kratos that he and his brother made it, so he offers to upgrade it. After some hesitance, Kratos accepts and we get our first upgrade to the axe. Brock now serves us as a shop where we can upgrade our stuff and buy things and armor. Father and son keep advancing to the mountain. Once they can see it, Kratos has another opportunity to give some comfort to his son, but no, his feelings are for girls and cowards. Anyway, after some puzzles and smashing the head of another troll, we encounter a boar. Atreus tries to hit it, but the arrow bounces out, so they follow it and finally they get a clean shot. They start following the boar through the woods into a thick mist, where we hear someone screaming in the distance as well as the kid. Once we reach Atreus, he is with a woman who is trying to save the boar, then he is a friend of hers. Since Kratos is responsible for it, she makes him carry the boar to her house in order to heal it. Once inside the house, the witch sends Atreus to collect some herbs, and once she's alone with Kratos, she immediately recognizes that he is a god from another land, and also she sees that his son doesn't know this. Important piece of information for the correct understanding of the story. Atreus does not know that his father is a god, nor does he know his past. Every aspect of his past life as a Greek god has been hidden to him by Kratos and his mother. After discussing the matter, the witch sends Kratos to pick some medicinal flowers. Why the hell on every RPG are we sent to pick flowers at some point?
Fine.
With the help of the flowers, she heals the boar, and in gratitude, although we are the ones who almost kill it, just saying, she gives them a mark to give them hidden from other gods. So once we get out of the house, we get a trophy and new friend. From the witch's basement, we get a boat and use it to reach the Lake of Nine, where we can see a statue of Thor that is almost fully covered by water, and thanks to Atreus, we learn that the stranger who attacked us was the god Baldur. After seeing an inscription on another statue that reads that they must sacrifice their weapons to the water, Kratos throws his axe to the lake. Since he can call it back as Thor's hammer, he doesn't seem to care that much to lose it. So he tries to call it back, but the axe doesn't appear. Instead, a giant snake called Jormungandr comes out of the lake. After the snake gets his head fully out of the water, it gives back the axe to Kratos and says something to them. But since he speaks a dead tongue, neither of them can understand him. Now, since Jormungandr came out of the lake, the water levels went down, opening the way to a giant bridge structure. Weirdly enough, inside the main chamber of the bridge, Brock appears and calls them in to give them a stone that will help us to teleport through some magical doors that will take us back to his shop. So right there, I got the trophies Dwarven Ingenuity for upgrading one piece of armor, and Best Dress for crafting a piece of armor for Atreus. Following the door at the end of the bridge, we reach the feet of the mountain, where we meet another dwarf that also claims to have made the axe. Obviously, this is Brock's brother, Sindri. Apparently, he was a friend of Faye, Atreus' mother, and he thinks that Kratos did something to her. Atreus quickly tells him that his mother gave the axe to Kratos and that she passed away. Since everything is cleared up, Sindri offers to upgrade the axe.
But nobody asked you to.
Oh, I'm starting to like this kid. After fighting for a while, we make our way to the mountain, where we face a new enemy, the ogre. And I want to take a second to say that I absolutely love that the enemies can talk. Of course, we cannot understand what they are saying, but it means that they are not just mindless beasts that are there just to kill us. Anyway, after a safe fight, we finally beat the ogre and made our way to the base of the mountain. But there's a black mist coming from the entrance of the mountain that prevents us from advancing. Magically, the witch appears to save the day, and in order to pass through the black mist, she sends us to another realm, to find the light of Alfheim. Though we must backtrack to the bridge in the lake, and Kratos has to manually move the bridge to another one of the doors. So Kratos effortlessly moves the whole bridge, and this shit's so funny to me. Kratos just keeps doing things that are extremely godlike, and Atreus is just like, oh, my dad is so strong. And I get it, he probably doesn't know what an average man is like, but still, funny stuff. Anyway, after that we go to the central chamber of the bridge, where we find the real travel room, where by using the middle table we can access the different realms of the Yggdrasil. So we use the Bifrost to activate the table and go to Alfheim. Right in the entrance we can see that the light of Alfheim is weak, and the witch tells us how to reach it. Right there, a strange force takes her back to Midgard, but just before leaving she tells Kratos to go inside the light with the Bifrost. Anyway, the thing is that they arrived in the middle of a war between the Dark Elves and the Light Elves, a war that has been going on for centuries. Anyway, on the way to the city, Atreus starts hearing voices. Damn it, as if it wasn't enough as it is, the kid's a schizophrenic. So after fighting the crap out of everyone, we restore the main bridge of the temple. We use the bridge to access the ringed temple interior, where after a good hour of fighting, puzzling and climbing, we finally reach the light, that is guarded by dozens of elves. Luckily, they are weak as hell, so we activate the truck mod and go right through them. We finally reach the light, so the next step is to step inside. Apparently, it's painful to do, so they are very cautious about it. So Kratos commands Atreus to stay, leaving his axe to him. Kratos steps inside the light, appearing in a forest, where he follows the ashes of Faye, and in the meantime, he can hear the thoughts of Atreus regarding him.
I don't know him and he doesn't know me.
Finally, Kratos is about to reach Faye, but Atreus pulls him out of the light. They both scream at each other since what Kratos experienced was only a brief moment, when in reality Atreus was left alone for God knows how long, but the kid manages to kill a dozen of elves, so one point of aura to Atreus. And instead of explaining what happened, he just stays silent, cause that's the way of the Spartans. Anyway, they use the imbued Bifrost to enchant the bow, and now Atreus is able to create bridges by using some magic crystals. So we get out of the temple and the light elves come back into it, which gives us the trophy Feels Like Home. So we make our way back to Midgard, but not without saying goodbye to the last Dark Elf general. On the way back, Atreus gets all against Kratos for apparently not caring enough about him, until back in the boat Kratos puts him in his place. Yeah, finally, but at least they have a bonding moment out of it. We walk all the way up to the mountain, and now we can use the Bifrost to repel the dark mist, opening our way to start climbing the mountain. Once in the mountain we reach its heart, where in the middle we can see a giant claw, that we'll end up using to pick a card that we can use as an elevator. Afterwards we find the elevator that will take us to the top of the mountain, but there's a tiny problem, or a huge one actually. We follow the dragon to the outside where we can see that Sindri is being attacked.
Can you kill something that big?
Oh boy, you have no idea. We move the fight to the ground and Kratos ends up performing a tracheostomy to the dragon. Oh man, the amount of aura on this man is way off the charts. In gratitude, Sindri gives Atreus some new magical arrows for his bow, and then asks us to take a tooth from the dragon. So while we do that, we get the trophy Dragon Slayer, or Slaying a Dragon. We keep going a bit more and finally reach the summit of the mountain, but when climbing to the top, we overhear a conversation. Once we get a clear vision, we can see that Baldur and is accompanied by two brutes, and they are all talking to a tree. Once they leave, we get to the top and see that the tree has a man trapped inside, who immediately recognizes Kratos as a god. The man in question is Mimir, the smartest man alive, allegedly. Sadly, Mimir let us know that this is not the highest peak in all the realms, that to find that place they must go to Jotunheim, where the actual peak is. But a long time ago, the giants closed every bridge to their home, and the only one left is hidden by a secret room. In order to find this room, they need Mimir's help, so Kratos must cut off his head, and then attempt to revive him through magic. But before doing so, Mimir warns Kratos about the dangers of keeping the whole god things a secret from Atreus.
I'm going to cut off your head now.
Found it, Chief.
We take the head back to the witch, but when she sees the arrows that Sindri gave to Atreus, she goes extremely bonkers and throws them to the fire, cause they are dangerous or something. Anyway, after some hesitance, she accepts to try to revive Mimir's head, so after some spells, after waking up, Mimir gets beat on by the witch, for some unknown beef they have, and he reveals that she is the goddess Freya, and you know that Kratos has a rather difficult time trusting gods. So he takes Atreus and rushes the hell out of the house. With Mimir as a new companion, we take him to the center of the bridge, where he blows on a giant horn that calls for Jormungandr. Once the serpent wakes up, the first thing it does is to eat the statue of Thor, out of despite for him, understandably. Have a good day. Mimir speaks with the serpent, and he tells us that we need a piece of a magical chisel, that we will find where the last giant of Midgard lies dead. So the serpent helps us get there. After a while we reach the giant's body, that has the chisel as an ornament on his head. Anyway, under the ice we see our objective, and now the thing is how to reach it. So we make our way under the ice, but when we reach the tip of the chisel, Baldur's brutes appear, Magni and Modi, our sons. Before starting the fight, I fully upgraded one of the axe's runic attacks and got the trophy the best moves. The difficulty on this fight relies, besides of their strength, in the fact that we must stun them both at the same time. But once we manage to do that, Kratos gently caresses Magni's face with an axe. As Modi escapes horrified, Atreus goes absolutely bonkers at him and gets sick again. Important piece of information for the correct understanding of the story. He gets sick a lot, and we get a trophy, Troubling Consequences. Kratos takes a tiny piece of the chisel that we can use on these magical doors that are all over the world. Once out of the giant, we can see one of these doors in one of his ends. So once we go inside, we meet our first Valkyrie. Not a hard fight at all if you know your parries. So once we kill her, we free her soul, and she asks us to find her sisters, something that we'll do later on. With the chisel in our power, we go to the bridge in the lake, and we can use it to access this bridge interior. While they're having at least one good father and son moment, a thunder strikes them and Modi appears. Modi wants to kill Kratos to prove to the gods that he is still worthy of the Mjolnir. And as Atreus tries to save his father, Modi insults him and throws him on the ground. There we can see Atreus' sickness on all its glory, and he passes out. Kratos defeats Modi once again, and has no other choice than to take the boy to Freya in order to heal him. So we quickly get to the caverns, and it's just an awesome fact that although he is so rough and cold with Atreus, we can clearly see how nervous he is to getting better, getting the spray on the elevator, walking back and forth as he waits to reach the top. Once we reach the house of Freya, Freya, Kratos desperately calls for her help. Once Freya sees Atreus' state, she tells us that in order to cure him, she needs an ingredient from Helheim, the Nordic Hades basically. But she warns Kratos that his axe will be useless there, so... oh, you know what this means. It's time to get some good old weapons. Kratos takes a boat that will lead him to his home, and in the meantime he's harassed by visions of Athena. Once in the house, we take care of some walkers and go straight inside. From under the floor, he takes a piece of a blanket. That inside contains... oh, they are as beautiful as always. As he chains up his arms, the visions of Athena keep discouraging him.
You will always be a monster.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
But now it's time to put these babies to the test. Oh boy, they are good. Once we kill all enemies, we'll get the trophy. Hello, old friend. Now into the trouble chamber, it's time to get to hell. Once we complete Helheim's route, we reach the Bridge of the Damned, where the Bridge Watcher is. So, in order to get the ingredient we need, we must kill him. After practicing a lobotomy on the poor fella, we have to take his heart. And after we take it, a vision of Mufasa appears on the clouds. Zeus. I meant Zeus. But never mind that, according to Mimir, it's only an illusion. Once Kratos gets out of hell, for the 6th time, we rush back to Freya's home, and we give her the heart. She makes the medicine to control Atreus' fever, but she warns Kratos that in order to heal him, he must tell him the truth of his nature. Important piece of information for the... you know how it goes. The illness that Atreus has comes from the mind, since he is a god believing himself immortal. Apparently, this creates a conflict inside him, that comes out as fever, cough and weakness. Kratos is resilient to tell the boy the truth, since he sees it as a curse that he passed to his son. To convince him, Freya tells Kratos that she has a son that no longer wants to see her for a mistake she made while trying to protect him. More on that later. Atreus gets all better and we get the trophy promise fulfilled. On our way to the lake, Kratos decides to tell the truth.
I was born a god, and so were you.
And Atreus takes the news surprisingly well.
Turn into an animal?
Oh god, I knew it! He's a furry! It was all there. All the signs were there.
Why, Lord? Why, Lord? Why?
Back to Tyr's chamber,
I wouldn't have felt so bad about killing so many elves.
okay, maybe he's getting a bit over his head now. So basically, Tyr was the Nordic god of war. A rather peaceful god that traveled around the world and got thousands of gifts from different cultures, including the Greeks, who for some reason gave him a base with Kratos in it. So in the center of the chamber there's a protected orb that contains the rune we need, and in order to unlock it we must complete a series of rooms full of traps and puzzles. After completing one of said rooms, Kratos falls into a trap that vanishes the protection that Freya gave him. Atreus sacrifices his mother's knife in order to save Kratos, so once they're about to get the rune, Kratos gives Atreus his own knife and gives him a life lesson.
Any weapon comes from here, but only when tempered by this. By the discipline, the self-control of the one who wields it. That is where the true strength of a warrior lies. You must never forget that.
Didn't Atreus look happy bonding with his father? And didn't Kratos look proud of his son until he came out as a furry? Wasn't that a beautiful game? Kratos takes the rune and gives it to Atreus, but the rune disappears, blending on his body, and we are immediately attacked by 2 elemental trolls. This is one of the most stressful fights of the game. The damage is massive and they regenerate each other, but after a few tries they are dead and we can continue. We go to the surface and still we can see that Atreus ain't having a clean grip of the whole godhood thing, to the point that he talks down to Sindri for having problems with his brother. You arrogant piece of shit, Sindri is sacred, even to the point of trash talking of his brother, whole reason we are here for. So we go back into the mountain where we meet Modi again, who was tortured by Thor, so weak that he can't defend himself, and although Kratos say that it was not worth killing, Atreus does this.
But we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
He's scaring me, to be honest. Now, once again at the top of the mountain, Atreus drops the rune into the bridge and with the chisel we activate it, opening our way to Jotunheim. But just as they are about to enter, Baldur appears to ruin the day. Let's remember that Kratos' protection was broken, so that's why he found them. So Kratos has no better idea than to smash Baldur into the bridge, breaking it down and closing the way to Jotunheim. Atreus gets all angry and Kratos tells him to run, but he doesn't listen and wants to fight Baldur. Kratos pushes Atreus away, but a little bastard shoots him in the chest. That's it, you little piece of shit, you're grounded. Atreus attacks Baldur and of course he gets quickly defeated. And Baldur tries to kidnap him, but Kratos runs behind him and they fight over Baldur's dragon. Kratos damages one of his wings, making it fall into the breach. We also land on it and run towards the travel chamber, where Baldur wants to take Atreus to another realm, but Kratos gets in the way and uses the Bifrost to travel somewhere else. And so they end up in Helheim once again. Atreus gets the yelling of his life for causing all this mess, and you deserve every last word, you little prick. And once the yelling is finished, we get a trophy round 2. During our stay in Hell, Atreus is exposed to different visions of the way he's been acting lately, and also we see Baldur having his own vision, where we learn that his mother is no other than Freya. After that, we find a boat that we can use to get out of Helheim. So after fighting the shit out of everyone, we finally reach the end of Hell. But when we are about to get out, an illusion of Kratos killing Zeus appears in front of them. Kratos gets paralyzed by the fact that Atreus is seeing the truth of his past, but Atreus takes him out of the trance and they manage to escape to the secret chamber of Odin, where we get the trophy past Hans. Inside the chamber we find a panel that Odin stole from Tyr's vault, and when Mimir takes a look at it, it reveals a secret message within the carving that showed that Tyr had a way to travel through realms without using the doors, meaning there's still a way to get to Jotunheim, but this object is guarded inside a secret vault. Luckily, they get the schematics they need to make a key. They ask Brok to craft it, but he refuses to do since it's not a weapon. Sindri appears to the rescue and convinces his brother to craft the key, so they do it together. I don't know if I mentioned it, but until this point they were angry at each other. Now they are best brothers once again. So with the key we access the Chamber of Secrets. That is basically just below the travel room. There we reach the Hall of Tyr, a giant gyroscope that we need to move, but the room is chained. So on our way we go to break the chains. Once done we can flip the room and go straight to the travel room, where we finally find Tyr's travel stone, which allows Tyr to walk between realms. So we enter one of the travel doors and jump into the void with the stone. That effectively takes us to the realm between realms, where we find the door to Jotunheim. Inside the door we must fight through like 6 waves of enemies, which was one of the hardest parts of the game, at least for me. But never mind that, we make it to the end, taking the door with us to Midgard. So now it's just a matter of going to the travel room and travel to Jotunheim. If it only was that easy. Turns out that there's no travel stone for Jotunheim, so there's no way to activate the door. Tyr used to do it with his eyes, which are the same as Mimir's eyes, but he's missing one. The other one was hidden by Odin, and I'm going to keep it short, okay? We learned that Mimir's eye was in the statue of Thor, the statue that the serpent ate. So we talk with Jormungandr, and he lets us go inside him to look for it. We find the statue, we find the eye, but when we are about to get out, the serpent is attacked by none other than Baldur. Oh, and also his mother is there. After Baldur vents out of his mommy issues, Kratos, for once in his life, tries to be reasonable instead of going straight to the punching.
You will find no peace. I know.
But it doesn't work, so they go straight to the punching. Nice try though. Freya holds Kratos with some vines on an attempt to stop the fight, but Atreus gets in the middle, ending up receiving a stray hit from Baldur. Took it like a champ though. By hitting Atreus, Baldur got stabbed by the tip of an arrow he has on his vest. The same arrows that Freya threw away. Turns out that this arrow breaks the enchantment that made him invincible, so now he is vulnerable. Important piece of information for— shut up already. Baldur hates Freya because she is the one who enchanted him with immortality, removing any kind of feeling. That's why he also wants to kill her. Freya uses the giant to step into the fight, and we keep fighting Baldur. We end up hundreds of meters up on the giant hand, and Atreus finally starts farming aura, increasing his level with each arrow he shoots. Maybe you're not that bad after all, kid. Finally, Kratos and Atreus defeat Baldur, but Kratos decides to spare his life, surprisingly. And Baldur talks to his mother. She begs for forgiveness, but he still wants to kill her, so she decides to give her life if that grants him peace. Baldur chokes Freya, but at the last second, Kratos intervenes.
The cycle ends here.
Baldur falls dead, and Freya swears vengeance on Kratos, calling him a monster who will never change. And Kratos decides that there's no better place to tell the whole truth to Atreus.
I made a deal with the god that cost me my soul. I killed my father.
Finally, we can finish our quest, and we get a trophy Twilight Beacons for defeating Baldur. So we go back to the travel room, where Mimir uses his eyes to open the bridge to Jotunheim. They finally enter Jotunheim, and now that the truth has been told and there's nothing left to hide, Kratos frees himself from the bandages that hide the scars of his past.
Can we go now?
You had to go and ruin the moment, why won't you? Inside the Temple of the Giants, they accidentally find a giant mural, where all the events of their story was already craved, meaning that Faye was a giant, so that makes Atreus half a giant. This new information tells us that, since Odin was actually looking for a way to enter Jotunheim, Baldur wasn't looking for Kratos, he was actually looking for Faye. Once they decide to keep going, Kratos sees a final hidden mural, where Kratos lies dead in the hands of Atreus. But never mind that, they finally reach the highest peak of all realms, and Faye's ashes are finally released. Before continuing, Atreus says that the giants call him Loki, but there's no time to react to this incredible revelation. We get the trophy of Last Wish and now we must go on. Now to get the remaining trophies, basically we must complete the game to 100%, meaning we have to find every collectible and we must upgrade Kratos to his fullest capacity, complete every secondary quest and so on. Basically keep playing. Every direction we take means progress. So for the trophy Trilingual, we must find every language cipher of the game. There are 8 of them and once we find the last one we get the trophy. Also we need to get all of them in order to access Muspelheim and Vanaheim in the future. So I decided to start by doing all missions from Sindri and Brock, which itself took me all over Midgard, introducing me to other secondary missions and collectibles. So, in the meantime, I found the last Horn of Blood, getting the last Rage upgrade and giving me the trophy Quick Tempered. And once I finished the last Dwarf mission, I got the trophy Like Oil and Water. Next, I decided to go to Vanaheim, where we can find the Baldi's Workshop, a challenge where we must complete a labyrinth full of really strong enemies, where there's also a timer to get out, and where we must collect Mist Echoes in order to advance. Once we get 500 Mist Echoes, we can buy the Niflheim entry stone to Sindri, that can be used to unlock the center of the workshop. That is full of treasure, that we must unlock with more Mist Echoes. Right there I got the item Chilling Mist, that will be important in a second. The labyrinth was extremely frustrating. The enemies were way too strong and if you die before getting out, you lose everything you collect. So try after try, I ended up getting the trophy All Will Fall, for killing 1000 enemies. In one of the rooms, I found one of the Valkyries on the labyrinth, and since I was there, I decided it was best to defeat her in the moment. So I did, surprisingly on the first try. Now, I was getting extremely frustrated since my level didn't match the ones from the labyrinth, so I decided to go to Muspelheim, where, similar to the Challenge of the Gods, we'll have 6 trials to complete, and we have to do them twice, normal version and hard version, so there are actually like 12 trials. But anyway, this was easy in comparison with the workshop, so in no time I got to the end where we fight another Valkyrie. This one was a bit more difficult, but after a few tries I freed her and she gives us an important item, the Raging Inferno of Muspelheim, that alongside the Chilling Mist that we got before, we can craft the last upgrade for the axe and for the blade. That will give us the trophy Worthy and Why Fight It respectively. Now for the trophy Fire and Brimstone, we must complete the last trial, and to complete the last trial we must complete 3 of the previous trials, again, and in higher difficulty. Anyway, once done we can activate the last trial that luckily has 3 levels of completion and they are all valid, so once we finish it we get the trophy Fire and Brimstone. Now for the trophy Death Happened Here, we must fully explore the Midgard. To do so we must go to the Stone Falls, where we'll find a contraption to open these giant doors. Also we'll find a spirit that gives us a mission. There are 5 spirits that gives missions in the game, and we must complete them for the trophy Unfinished Business. Once we cross the doors we'll reach the Midgard. There I found the last Jotnar Shrine, which gave me the trophy The Truth. There are only 11 of them in the game and they are pretty much unmissable. So once we get all chests, all artifacts and all these ravens, we'll get the trophy Death Happened Here. Now going back to the spirit, casually this was the last one for me. So once I completed his mission inside Midgard, I got the trophy Unfinished Business. Our next trophy is Dangerous Skies, where we must free the 3 dragons of Midgard. One is located in Midgard, another one after opening a door in a shore of the Lake of Nine, and the last one to the west in Konungsgard. Once we free the last one, we'll get the trophy Dangerous Skies. Now sooner or later, since we are completing everything, we are going to get the trophy Beneath the Surface, for exploring all of Midgard. There's no need to get 100% on every area, just passing through is enough. Then again, sooner or later we'll find the last Idun Apple, which fully upgrades our HP and will give us the trophy Yoon's Orchard. For the trophies Path of the Salad and Primordial, we have to craft the full armor of the Traveler and the Ancient respectively. To do so we need their materials, that we get by killing those enemies. To this point we already have enough of them, though it is just a matter of crafting them, and both trophies will pop up. For the trophy Treasure Hunter, we must find all treasure maps. Then again, while exploring, we'll probably get all 12 maps, and we'll probably get a lot of treasures by accident. But if not, they have explicit images showing where they are. Once we get the last one, we'll get the trophy. There are 2 collectible trophies that consist on getting all artifacts and Odin's ravens. Luckily, on the map, we can see how many are missing and on which areas, so it is just a matter of looking for them and the trophy will pop up. Finally, we have only 2 trophies left, and since it was impossible for me to finish Vanaheim, I decided to go for the trophy Chooser of the Slain. That consists on killing all 9 Valkyries. I had already found and killed 8 of them, so we must go to the Valkyries Council and place their helmets on their respective chairs. Once done, we'll have access to the last Valkyrie, one of the toughest fights of any game, and it's coming from a guy who 100%ed every Dark Souls game. This fight is tough as nails. I changed my build a few times just to try to reach half of the fight, but as always, eventually we'll learn the patterns, and there's when I finally beat her, but still, every mistake counted. Once defeated, we'll get the trophy Chooser of the Slain, and I used every little piece of material and item to reach the highest level for Kratos, and I went to Vanaheim, where we have 3 rifts to open, each one with harder enemies. But since I was already upgraded to the max, it didn't take much time to beat them all. Once done, the trophy Darkness and Fog pops up, and of course, the Platinum. This game is an absolute S tier. I'm sorry God of War 2, but you have been beaten. This game is borderline perfect. The combat system is smooth and fun. The parry system is extremely satisfying. The acting is mwah, chef's kiss. The quality of the acting on every character is beyond perfect. My personal favorite is Baldur. He has such a unique personality that you can feel the resentment and anger he has all the time, and a bit of craziness by the fact that he can't feel anything. It's a game that if you haven't already, you just have to play it. Every detail, every little conversation, every gesture adds to the storytelling. Long story short, we have a new champion, and we're just one game away from finishing this series, so subscribe and stay tuned. The last part will be ready soon. If you had a good time, please leave a like, comment something to let me know what you liked and what you didn't like. Everything helps to make me better at creating content. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.